Hi, my name is Panarda Schmitta, and I'm conducting this interview today. I'm a second poon in Taekwondo, and I own a small nonprofit organization known as Kids Thai that provides in-person and virtual seminars to teens and adolescents to help with mental and physical health. And today I'm here with Caitlin Hung and Isabella Lisco, the co-presidents of Northwestern University Taekwondo. And thank you guys so much for taking your time out of your day for being here with us.
Of course.
Perfect. And I just want to get started with a couple simple questions. I was just wondering, I've seen you guys have contributed an amazing amount to Taekwondo, and I was wondering what you guys have done in the past and what martial arts you guys have pursued in the past.
Caitlin, you want to start? How should we do it? Should we switch off?
Yeah, that sounds good. So hi, I'm Caitlin. I started Taekwondo about 6 or 7 years ago in middle school at a local dojang in my hometown in Seattle. And it was kind of a fusion of Taekwondo, Tangsudo, and a little bit of karate, but mostly Taekwondo. And then when I came to Northwestern, I've been joined the Taekwondo club my first quarter of college. It was COVID during that time, and so I was doing virtual Taekwondo in my dorm room, and that's been my journey so far.
Super cool to hear.
Oh, did Izzy freeze? Uh-oh.
That's all right. I was wondering about the online Taekwondo thing. How was that experience? How did you try and train, and how was that process mainly?
Yeah. Well, as you can imagine, online Taekwondo was a little bit rough, but it definitely was like my first community at Northwestern. It was one of the few clubs that was still doing things. Basically, it looked like we had practices 3 times a week for about an hour on Zoom. So I was in my dorm room. I had a roommate who was at her desk trying to study while I would be punching and kicking and trying to learn forms. It was definitely a challenge because when you're trying to learn a form, you like can't tell on Zoom if it's mirrored or if like so you should be doing the opposite or the same. So there was a lot of learning there, but overall it was a fun time, and I feel like I really bonded with the team because of the challenges we had to overcome with that format of doing Taekwondo.
Oh, super cool. And then Isabella, I was wondering like your past experience with martial arts as well.
Yeah, so let's hope the internet stays cool for this. I started Taekwondo when I was 5. I've dabbled in a bunch of other ones. My school also did Hapkido and Judo. So I used to go to, well, I do still go to Judo training camps once or twice a year. But it was like, I honestly don't really know who I'd be without Taekwondo. It's been really integral to my mental health and physical health and my relationship with my family as well. My whole family does it, 5 of us, and we work out together back home in LA. So I think I came into Northwestern really wanting to find that community that I, had to be away from with being at school. And I met Caitlin. She's a year older than me, so she was one of the first captains to like welcome me into the dojang at Northwestern, and it was off the bat a really welcoming environment, and probably where I first off started to find like a rhythm in college because it can be really hard. Like I guess you don't know this yet, but you'll see. One of the hardest parts is like you get thrown into this new environment, and it's really hard to find a rhythm and something that keeps you healthy. Like you're eating different foods, you're with different people, different environments, different school schedule, different sleep schedule, everything. And Taekwondo helped me kind of have that connection to home a little bit and stay stable.
Nice. Oh, super cool to hear the past experiences you guys had with martial arts. I was also wondering what motivated you guys to shift from just practicing martial arts to also coaching here and there and also a little bit of administration.
For me, so before college, I trained in sort of a different style of taekwondo in terms of forms and sparring than the club was practicing. So I did Palge forms instead of Taekwondo forms, and I also had some experience with point sparring instead of Olympic sparring. And so in my first year, I didn't have a chance to really practice those styles that I really loved and had trained in. Um, and so, one factor in me wanting to become a captain and teach others was wanting to be able to share the skills and the techniques that I had learned, but also open up a place for um, people who had previous training and experience to be able to still practice the curriculum that they had learned, in addition to learning the new things that the club was doing. Um, yeah, another thing was we had a lot of people graduating at the end of my freshman year, and I think I was the only new person who joined the club, and so it was shrinking dangerously small. And so I wanted the club to continue existing and to continue providing community to people who wanted to practice Taekwondo. And so the obvious route for me seemed to be to get involved and to try and grow the club bigger than it had been.
Nice. Super cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm glad you became a captain. For me, I think it's kind of similar. I think everyone comes in with their own unique styles, and that's probably one of the biggest challenges we have as a club is how do you have everyone have that satisfying workout and feel like they're practicing at their level when we have to agree sort of on a curriculum or some form of practice. For me too, I grew up doing the Pagi forms and Hyung forms, which are like traditional Korean forms, and a little bit of Taegukun competition, but not a lot. And we also had our own set of basic forms. So I came from like a very different type of school, but I would teach at home, assistant teach little kids mostly, and it's really exciting getting to see people grow, I think, and it can be frustrating, but overall, it's like you see things that they don't see themselves, not just like technique stuff, but like when people are kind of down on themselves, like they don't see the improvement, but you as a coach, like you see it, you can think back to when they first started and they couldn't kick above their belt and now they can, and so I think it's really helpful to be like that mirror for someone and to be encouraging. And I also think that Taekwondo has a lot of value to bring to college students. It certainly obviously brought a lot of value to me. So I'm excited about sharing that with other people.
Nice. Super cool. That makes sense how the shift from just practicing martial arts and being able to see a lot more things than other people would have when it comes to coaching and stuff. And that really makes sense. So that's super cool to hear. What made Northwestern Taekwondo such an unbelievable experience for you guys that made you guys want to stay for as long as you guys have?
I would say for me, it was the community. That's really what's kept me there and made me want to keep coming back year after year. Um, Again, everybody comes in with different styles, and so it's cool to see all the different perspectives and just ways of interacting with Taekwondo people have had in the past. Also, Taekwondo is so unique because it draws people of all experience levels in Taekwondo, all years, all majors. And so I've gotten to learn about the different things that everyone is so passionate about and trying to study. So I think that for me, Taekwondo has been a way to kind of get outside of the stressful academic setting sometimes I'm in. I'm a biology major, and so a lot of my classes are mostly pre-med students, and that can be a very stressful environment to be in sometimes because it's very competitive, very pre-professional focused. And so Taekwondo and the community there has been a place where I can kind of decompress, be myself, learn from other people in a different way that isn't so academic.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like everyone's going to answer community to this question, but maybe I should be a little more specific for why it's the same for me too. I think like, how do I want to say this? Yeah, Northwestern can be a really stressful academic environment, and it can be sometimes easier to like stay with your in group because it's more comfortable. And that could mean like same major, it could mean like same type of extroverted, outgoing people or more introverted, like to go to movies people. It could mean like you're from the same town or you have the same religion and that's comfortable. But what's really great about our club, and I don't honestly know how it happened, like it's basically an accident, like, but we're all united by this one thing that we're interested in this art form. And other than that, we're like totally different. And
Mhm.
so you have this total kaleidoscope of people at every social event. And we've really tried to foster an environment where everyone feels comfortable coming. So we have really people that really, you know, kind of warm up to us, maybe don't feel super comfortable at first and then start coming out to stuff. And like seeing that happen and feeling like we're providing a community where every type of person hopefully feels like they can flourish and like grow and make friends, just purely just have friends at the school, is super cool and also not what I was expecting when I started out. Like I thought we were just gonna kind of train together, and instead, we get to kind of grow together and experience different types of people. I think that's really cool.
Nice. Yeah, that sense of camaraderie among like all your teammates can, I feel like, really be shown, especially at Northwestern Taekwondo. And as you guys are also practicing, you guys are also students as well, and it might be hard at times to balance academics as well as martial arts. What do you guys feel is the most significant challenge you guys face as coaches as well as administrators, and how do you guys overcome it?
I think one thing that has maybe been more of a problem in the past, especially coming out of COVID, um, was yeah, definitely the time commitment and just commitment in general, perhaps. Being captain, being an exec member is it's a lot of time. I mean, we practice 3 times a week for 2 hours, and then we have our exec meetings and captain meetings. Oh, yeah, um, which is a lot of time. And I think coming out of COVID, some people in the club kind of became disconnected from it. I mean, virtual practices are not the same as in-person practices, and it was um, definitely helped me get through being in virtual school and also living from home and doing college. Um, but being in person brought it to a whole new level. And so um, coming out of COVID and trying to regrow the club, we had a lot of people kind of disappear or not be as committed as perhaps they were before COVID. And with Taekwondo, there's a lot of different positions that are important, like you have your captains who teach the practices, but you also have to deal with funding and dealing with administration at Northwestern, creating social events, all sorts of things, transportation. So it's a really big exec board, and finding time where everyone can meet and getting a group that is really dedicated to wanting to be at the practices and to shape the club into a community they want it to be, I think was really challenging coming out of COVID. And I think that as the club has grown, I think that's a problem that always remains, but the community has become a lot stronger and has kind of grown exponentially in the past few years. And I think that's helped create a really dedicated exec team. And that's something that's been really amazing to see grow and um, become that team because um, I guess coming to Northwestern, I wasn't even sure if there would be like a dedicated team of in Taekwondo who, well, I'm talking myself in circles here, but I mean, like, I wasn't sure if people would be like committed to the sport, to the community, and it's been amazing to see how that has happened and grown.
Yeah, it is amazing. I mean, I think for me, like personally, there's two challenges with coaching. I did coach back home, but my teacher was always mostly in charge of the class, and I was kind of assistant teaching. And holding a class and the responsibility of everyone's safety and well being is like a huge responsibility. And I think it can be really hard. And for that reason, I'm really glad that we've chosen to have multiple captains who all teach and kind of hold that burden together because it is really scary. Like you want to do right by everyone and care for their emotional needs, physical needs, any injuries they have, making sure they're not pushing it too much, making sure that, they're taking time for themselves. If they have too many finals that week, they're still, feel okay to come back to class the next week. Like there's just so many components. So I think it can feel like a heavy responsibility for me personally sometimes. And what that leads to sometimes is like I am very focused on everyone else, and I sometimes neglect my own practice. So an example is I've been hurt more times this past year than I ever have in like the 15 years I've done Taekwondo. Just like sprained ankles and broken fingers and like, pulled muscles, injuries that normally when I'm like 100% focused on my practice don't happen. But injuries in Taekwondo happen when your mind is somewhere else. Mm-hmm. So I'm still working on like how to be both invested in everyone else, but also like making sure I'm not getting injured. Right. And then I will say like the administrative stuff is really, really so much. The amount of emails Caitlin and I have been fielding just this week from just one portion of the school admin is actually crazy. And I don't know other schools function this way, but like, man, hopefully it slows down a little bit as we get into the year, but it's a lot. So like she said, we're really lucky to have a dedicated exec board and kind of split those tasks because so much.
Perfect. Yeah, that's a lot of challenges I can see you guys face as administrators and coaches. And as you guys were coaching Northwestern Taekwondo, are there any specific rituals or practices that you guys do before competitions or any events?
Izzy, do you want to take this one first?
Sure. I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is we have a cheer. So at the end of each class, we huddle up. So we like usually end the class in a big circle, stretching, cool down after our calisthenics at the end. And then we bow out, and then we bring it into a circle, tighter, like shoulder to shoulder. We all put our hands on our knees. And then, let me see if I can get this right without doing it out loud, but like usually we pick the exec board or the captains. They shout, and you. And then the team says, Taekwondo. And then we key up, they key up, we key up all together. So that I would say is our most long-standing tradition. And then people have their own secret handshakes and traditions on the side too.
Yeah, I don't have too much to add to that. But yeah, we've been doing that this summer too. We've had some smaller practices we've been doing this summer, and it's just such a great way to build the energy and to feel like we're all in this together.
Yeah, definitely helps feel like you're invested in the club as well. So super cool. And as you guys have been part of this club for such a long time, aside from just the regular the rituals that you guys have done, are there any other memorable moments or achievements that you guys really cherish as a part of NU Taekwondo?
So many.
Yeah, hard to pick one. I would say one big thing that was a really cool moment last year was usually every year we have a demonstration as part of the Korean Student Association's annual performance. But last year we decided we wanted to branch out, and in addition to doing that, we wanted to have our own show, just Taekwondo. And so it ended up being kind of scary, kind of stressful, in that we had this other show to prepare for, and then we had to really quickly, within a week, adapt it, keep everyone's spirits up, and stay dedicated to putting on this performance. And we didn't know if anybody would show up. I mean, it was a new thing. We had no idea. And when we got there, we ended up having maybe 30 or 40 minutes of Taekwondo demonstration, and we filled an entire auditorium. It was so cool to see everyone show up to see the team, to see the demonstration. At the end, we had a board breaking fundraiser where anybody in the audience could come up and we teach them how to break a board. And over half of the audience stayed around and learned how to break a board. And it was so cool to see the audience and the general Northwestern community engaged in the club and the team and wanting to see what is Taekwondo.
Yeah, that was totally a highlight for me. Oh man, we had like 4-hour practices every night after everyone's been in classes and finals all day. and we never had a practice with everyone there. Do you remember that? Like, you know, like someone was always missing until the day of the show, and it was just us captains like being like, oh my god, like I hope it works. You know, it went really well. On top of that, like, we competed. We had like 11 people compete in a tournament last year, which was huge for us. And I had a great moment. This girl who her mom wouldn't let her spar growing up, said it wasn't ladylike, and I coached her through her first match. It's my first time coaching too, because I was always coached back home by my coach, my teacher. And she comes up to me, she lost, and I'm like, oh man, you know, great job, like I'm so proud of you, but like, you know, I understand you might be like upset. And she was like, that was the coolest thing I've ever done. That was like, are you serious? You know, because you realize that like the experiences that maybe have become like routine to you, like trust me, I've lost all over the country all the time, but the experiences that like you get used to are new for other people, and you get to bring them to them and see like the discovery and the joy, and so that was really special. We've had some great social events. You know, we did a send off for the seniors. We always do, and in particular this year was really touching. Like we went out to a park and kind of all we did a bunch of things for the seniors actually, but that's always a really moving moment when everyone's saying like how much they meant to them and stuff like that. So yeah, we've done a lot.
Wow, yeah, definitely. I feel like you guys have even more memories and achievements, as well as things that you guys cherish as part of NU Taekwondo. That super interesting to hear. Um, as you guys have been able to show the various aspects of Taekwondo, you guys have also been able to branch out and be able to spread the word of martial arts as well. And this has been through either social media or word of mouth. So I was wondering, you guys have done a phenomenal job at that. It's really worked. I can see the participation in Taekwondo has recently grown in NU Taekwondo as well. So I was wondering, why do you guys believe this is so important for the club as a whole, as well as just the art?
Is your question why is like the growth of the club important to the club and the sport?
Yes, yeah, pretty much just the growth of the club and how you guys branch out.
Yeah, I mean, I think that. Oh, hopefully Izzy will come back again. Um, yeah, I think Taekwondo kind of has a unique purpose on a college campus, especially where there is kind of sometimes, at least at Northwestern, there's a culture of kind of you need to be studying all the time, always working on classes, having more and more activities, and there sometimes like self-care and taking time for yourself kind of falls away, especially in the quarter system when you're always in an exam. There's no break. And I think that exposing more people to Taekwondo, but also to other forms of like team sports and that sort of thing, is really important as a way for people to form community, as we've talked about a little bit, but also as a way for physical exercise. I mean, Taekwondo is really cool because it's a combination of cardio and you're sparring and also strength and trying to get your kicks higher and higher and things like that. And I mean, it's not only physical, it's also mental, and you have to memorize all these forms patterns, and it's kind of refreshing in a way. While you're still learning, you're still trying to memorize things. It's a totally different set of your brain that you're using, and I think that that's a really powerful thing for students in college. Oh, I can't hear you, Izzy.
Yeah, we'll probably just there it is.
Oh no.
Do you mind if I ask you a couple questions in the
Yeah,
meantime?
sure.
Yeah,
Izzy can jump back in when she comes back.
perfect.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yay!
Oh, bruh, this is not my usual spot. I'm only in this spot for another couple days. But okay, the question was something about like why is it important to grow taekwondo?
Yes.
Okay. I loved what you said from what I could hear, Caitlin. I think like something I've been noodling lately is empowerment, but like I know that term is always kind of applied to women, and I don't really like that. I mean empowerment as like an individual to be able to do stuff that you maybe never considered was possible for you. Maybe that's like make friends in a group setting. Maybe it's gain flexibility that you always considered yourself like, oh no, like I'm not flexible. Maybe it's, get in the ring and face someone, no matter how it goes. Maybe it's break a board. And so I really like feel like we're providing those opportunities to have those breakthroughs, and that's an incredible experience. So the feeling you get when someone like really timid steps up to the board you're holding, like really unsure if they're capable of going through something that looks like solid wood and literally is solid wood, and you coach them a little bit and you give them the energy and you key up for them and they key up back and they do it, and the look and the feeling that they have afterwards and that you as a coach has is so valuable. And I just feel like little by little, if people can have those experiences, you apply it to other aspects of life too. You have more confidence in other things, more confidence to say what you mean, how you want to say it, to achieve the things you want to achieve, to be the kind of person you want to be. So I think that's really powerful. And I have a lot of satisfaction from when I have those breakthroughs and when I get to see other people having those.
Definitely. Yeah, martial arts definitely has that impact on students as well as those around them as well. So I thought that was super inspiring. I was also wondering, what other pieces of advice would you possibly give high school students who plan on joining a taekwondo team, and what what would they and what should they do in the future to help prepare them?
Yeah, I would just encourage high school students to keep an open mind and be willing to try new things. I think that in college, it's really important to try and find community and find a way to relieve stress and care for yourself. And I think that Taekwondo is an amazing way to do that. I mean, college could also be an opportunity to try another martial art that you might not have had experience with before. Or I think there's a lot of different ways that you can find community and get those same rewards. And I think that Taekwondo is an amazing place to start for that.
Yeah, definitely. I would say, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. PTSD. I would say that I really liked what Caitlin said about keeping an open mind. I'll actually share, like, when I first came to the club, it was really difficult for me. I didn't really know where I fit in. The style was really different from what I grew up with, and obviously what I love. I was the same teacher, the same school, the same style for 14 years or something. I don't know, before I came to Northwestern. So if that's you, if you have an attachment to a certain style, it's gonna be growing pains. It's gonna be different when you get to college, but at least at Northwestern, we give our students a lot of, and like our club members, a lot of agency over what they want to see out of practice. We have people fill out a survey every quarter to see like, what do you want to see, what's working for you, what's not, and we try and go from there. So like you have agency to make it what you want, but it also requires keeping an open mind. Your college club's going to be different. And there's always ways to keep in touch with your home school too. So I talk to my teacher every couple weeks while I'm at school. We have a really nice relationship. And every time I'm on break, I go back home. I take little notes in my notebooks about exercise I want to bring back to school and vice versa. So, you can keep that connection strong, but it does require an open mind and being willing to try a type of taekwondo that you're maybe not used to.
Yeah, definitely. I think Northwestern University Taekwondo definitely offers students a diverse options when it comes to participating in Taekwondo as well as martial arts as a whole. And I also would like to know, what do you guys have as goals for the future of this Taekwondo club, and how do you guys plan on keeping it as successful as it is right now?
Good question. I think one area is following COVID, we switched the focus of the club much more to kicking and to forms, and kind of stopped sparring for a little while because during COVID you couldn't have close contact. It didn't work. So last year we've went to our first tournament in I don't know how long. I don't know, multiple years. And I mean, for some people, sparring is really scary and they don't want to do it. For other people, that's like the most exciting thing for them. And then it's cool to be able to see people re-engage with that part of Taekwondo, and for people to try it for the first time is something new. And I think that one of our goals for this year is to try and branch out and provide more opportunities to practice sparring and to compete at a local level. Another one is last year we connected with some of the other schools and Taekwondo clubs in Illinois through socials, and we held a sparring rumble workshop with some of the clubs, and it was really amazing to be able to see how other Taekwondo clubs were structured, meet other people who love the art, and I think that's something we also hope to expand this year.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think we did a really good job last year of diversifying what we teach. Like you're saying, like we started something called workshops where, because we realized that a large part of a lot of our club members are coming to us from another martial art. We're the biggest, and sometimes depending on practice schedules, like the only consistent martial arts club at Northwestern. So that means that a lot of people that like are coming from other martial arts see us and say, okay, I'll switch, I'll start as a white belt. But that said, like we want to recognize if they have a black belt in Kempo or a black belt in Jiu-Jitsu, like we want them to feel like they have an opportunity to share some of that. So you can sign up to lead a workshop. We give people about an hour, hour and a half of our class time. Mm-hmm. We do about like 1 or 2 a quarter, and they just can teach their art. Oh, wow. So, that is like really special. And I think the more and more we can embrace that, the more and more we can do things like we did at what we called the Taekwondo show, which Caitlin talked about earlier, where she did a, what are those weapons called?
Oh, Sai.
She did a Sai routine because we don't do that as a club. And other people did bow stack routines. We don't do that as a club. We don't have the expertise yet or the equipment to like teach it. But we were like, well, it's part of Taekwondo. Why not have people get to showcase their part of the art, And so I think that really turns people on. And I think, more of that, the more we can get that going, the better. And so that's something I'm looking forward to this year, just seeing what people bring to the table. And of course, like every single group is going to be different. Every year is different. We'll see what freshmen we have join. Right now, like foremost on my mind is recruitment. Like, let's get the word out so that everyone who's ever wanted to try Taekwondo ever in their life is going to come to us. We pride ourselves on being a really, really accepting and accessible club. Like if you can't pay dues, come talk to us. We'll help you out. If you're worried about something, you have pre-existing injury, we'll help you structure a practice that works for you. You need no prior experience, no comfort. Like come on your own. Connect with us personally with our cell phone numbers. Like anything we can do to facilitate that. So I'm really proud of that, and I'm excited to like keep doing that this year.
Yeah, definitely. Once again, thank you guys so much, Caitlin, as well as Isabella, for sharing your insights and experiences with us today. And your dedication and your passion for Taekwondo is really inspiring me as well. So thank you guys once again. We wish you and Northwestern Taekwondo Club success in the future as well. Thank you guys.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Nice
So
to
good to
meet
talk to
you.
Great
Good
to
luck
meet
with
you.
your project.
Perfect.